Boxing Bookie, this is your segment, man. This is where you make the picks. You had a pick last week, so why don't we recap of where you're at financially, what your return rate's been, how you did last week, and what you're doing this week. No, wait a second. Didn't you take him straight up to win?
Yeah, I took him straight up to win, but I thought that he would go ahead and perform in a different manner, so I made the straight up play as a safer type of bet. I bet 500 and I won 300. So right now we're sitting at 13,300. So I mean we're sitting pretty 33% since April. It's not too bad. In comparison to everything else that's out there. I should have made some smarter plays throughout the year, but I think 30% ain't too shabby as it is. But looking forward, obviously we got the big fight between Manny Pacquiao and Miguel Cotto. Potential fight of the year candidate. As of this current moment, they have Manny Pacquiao listed as a 3-1 favorite. Miguel Cotto sitting at plus 250 straight up as an underdog. Truth be told, I've been going over this fight in my head for the past probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. For however long it's been announced for. Based on what I see on the board at this current point in time, I'd have to go ahead and lean towards Miguel Cotto, not solely based on the value, but just based on, I guess, the past performances and the competition they faced over the past, I'd say, 5 opponents. Let me go ahead and take a look at exactly what. So basically, I'm looking at the BoxRec thing right now. The past 5 opponents for Manny Pacquiao have been Marco Antonio Barrera, Juan Manuel Marquez, David Diaz, Oscar De La Hoya, and Ricky Hatton. Obviously, the biggest names on his resume within the past 5 guys are De La Hoya and Hatton. He went ahead and starched both guys, within the distance, which pretty much sticks out amongst the betting public and the fight fans' mind. But if you look just a little bit further, you realize that guys like Barrera and Marquez went the distance. Obviously, Barrera came to just survive that fight. But truth be told, I think that Manny Pacquiao can be lulled into some sort of trance if a guy isn't willing to go ahead and just go after him and fight him, as did Diaz, De La Hoya, and Hatton. Marquez gave him even more trouble than Barrera did based on his counter-punching game plan going into that rematch they had. It was a split decision victory for Pacquiao. Obviously, people like to just focus on what both guys have done recently. Pacquiao's looked impressive, but truth be told, this whole fight between Pacquiao and Cotto reminds me a little bit of the Hopkins-Trinidad fight back in 2001. Not based on the styles of both guys, not based on the resumes of both guys, but based on the hype of one guy over another quality opponent. For those of you who don't remember, in 2001, Felix Trinidad was considered a phenom, knocking out guys like Williams Joppy, knocking out guys like Fernando Vargas, knocking out guys like David Reed. He was just a hot fighter at the time, and the line makers made him, I believe, a 4-1 favorite over Hopkins, which was completely unjustified, being that Hopkins was a lifelong middleweight champion. He was the bigger man going into the fight. Obviously, he was more skilled as the fight played out. That was quite evident. But so I mean, the similarities kind of end there. Pacquiao. Cotto's better than Pacquiao is better than Trinidad was by leaps and bounds in terms of his versatility and dynamic ability within the ring in comparison to Felix. I don't think Cotto is as crafty or as cagey as Hopkins, obviously so, but he is the bigger man. I wouldn't say he's a lifelong welterweight because obviously he started his career at 140 pounds, but he is a legitimate 147-pound fighter who rehydrates somewhere to around the 156, 157-pound range, as we've seen in past fights. And based on, obviously, you got to look at Miguel Cotto's last 5 opponents. You got Joshua Clottey. I'm talking about the names that stand out. You got Joshua Clottey, Antonio Margarito, and Shane Mosley. If you think Manny Pacquiao could dominate Mosley, Margarito, and Clottey, obviously you'd be looking at and making him a 3-1 favorite over Miguel Cotto. But he hasn't faced those guys. He's faced smaller guys that are probably a little bit past their primes. I'm thinking that, based on Cotto's resume of facing southpaws such as Zab Judah, Carlos Quintana, DeMarcus Corley, 3 guys who didn't go the distance against Cotto. I mean, we all saw how Cotto beasted Quintana. He got the stoppage victory against Corley, which could have been somewhat disputed, having the fight been in Puerto Rico, and then he just put the pain on Zab Judah over the course of 11 rounds. I think that Cotto's resume pretty much speaks for itself, making him extremely live dog against Pacquiao. I'm liking Cotto at plus 250. Basically, that's a 2.5 to 1 underdog to go straight up. I think that offers the most value for its money. I'm gonna go ahead and be betting 2,000 to win 5,000, which is a nice chunk of change. That means we'd be up 83% on the year if we go ahead and get this victory. I just think that Cotto can go ahead and emulate the styles of Barrera. He can emulate the styles of Juan Manuel Marquez. I think for the first 3 or 4 rounds, he's gonna have to set a slow